Are you looking for a community of women who are ready to have an open conversation about their self doubt journey, how they're showing up despite their negative self talk, all while having brunch and sipping mimosas? Then join us Saturday, November 20th at Camp Spaces from 12 to 2:30 p.m. for Slaying Self Doubt's first live event called Community and Conversations. Limited tickets are on sale now. You can head on over to my website www.feliciawallace.com. Click the events tab to get your ticket today. Hope to see you there. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. I am here with Tierra Strother, also known as Simone Rose from Notebook and Coffee Podcast. Hey, girl. Hey.
Hey,
How's it going?
it's going.
It's going. It's going. Well, so you guys, I always try to, if I can, if I do know the people, I try to share nowadays how I know people. So Tierra, Simone Rose and I have known each other for quite some time. She actually has been a part of this slaying self-doubt journey. She knew me before there was ever even a slaying self-doubt anything. And like I sometimes I kind of even amaze myself sometimes that like during this time I always think to myself like I wonder how I was before. Like I already know I had grown a whole lot, right? But it's always one of those things that like whenever we have a conversation, I'm always just kind of like, see, it's just the growth in just, owning your truth and walking in it. So we've worked together, we've done some podcasting together. And so I just want to say publicly how proud I am of you because I know you hit me up and was like, I want to start this podcast. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. And we kind of talked through it. I showed her a couple of things and then she out here, just blowing up. So I was like, okay, then. So super proud of you for really just stepping into that and having having the conversation that needs to be had. So, kudos to you for that. Kudos to you for that. You're so welcome. So I just told y'all how I know her, but I'm gonna let her introduce herself. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
So I am Tierra, aka Simone Rose. I got started with the podcast. Was it last year? Last year.
No, girl, it was 2019. Last year is like the Thanos snap. Yeah, no, it was
Okay,
2019.
okay, so 2019. I felt like it was just a thought in 2019.
Mm-mm.
But so I started with the idea of wanting to do a mental health podcast because people don't really talk about mental health. And Black folks, we not really allowed to have mental health problems, like,
Mm-hmm.
or for whatever reason, society has deemed us to be um superheroes. I mean, which we are, but we get tired too.
Yeah.
And we need a release, we need a break. And that's what Notebooks and Coffee is about. It is literally a conversation about my journey with mental health and where I am today, where I was 3 days ago, where I was when I was 16. It's literally different scenarios. So when I started it, I initially started it or got it off the ground during this pandemic, panoramic, whatever
Yeah.
y'all call it. I started out at level 6 of Jumanji. It was in June.
Not
Hey,
Jumanji.
child, because listen, I never know what to expect. So I started out in the midst of me going through or dealing with a miscarriage,
Mm-hmm.
and I had way too much time on my hands and way too much time to think about the miscarriage, and I spent the majority of the time blaming myself.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I got pregnant in December of 2019. I found out 2 weeks before my birthday in 2020. And when I tell you I was excited, but at the same time, I was pissed because I was like, sis, it's going to turn 32.
You had plans.
I was finna get lit. Like I had my little birthday outfit picked out. I just knew I was gonna be drinking, and Nugget was like, "No, mom, not today."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I ended up finding out I was pregnant 2 or 3 weeks before my birthday, and then 3 weeks after my birthday, right before Valentine's Day, I was 10 weeks and I miscarried.
Mm.
So it was very hard, very difficult, but it was something that I knew I needed to talk about.
Yeah, yeah.
I just didn't know how to talk about it without being angry all the time.
Mm.
And when I tell
Yeah.
you I was angry, like I literally, I'm not gonna say I hated God, but I was at one of those points where I was like seriously, you know everything I've been through, like
Yeah.
this to and so you know the past relationship and how hard like I was trying for a really long time, and then I finally it happened, and I was just like, okay, so
This is
now
what we
what?
doing. Right, right, right. No,
Like,
yeah, no. I first of all, just thank you for your transparency and your honesty of wanting to share your journey, right? Because I think a lot of times people don't realize in podcasting, like depending on what it is, unless it's like news or sports or, you know, I can't think of other stuff because I usually listen to like church and stuff. So those like sermons, but a lot of it is really about you having to be transparent. And that's a hard thing. Like even on here, it's a
yeah,
difficult thing to tell people your business, right? Because you don't know what the reaction is going to be until someone says, I needed to hear that.
yeah.
Until someone says, thank you for sharing that. So after that experience, what made podcasting the thing the way you wanted to be able to release?
At that point, I realized like my mental health was not where I needed it to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like I realized I'm not okay.
Yeah,
Nothing about this is okay. I
yeah.
literally went 30 days, 30 plus days drinking like just water and juice. Um, I didn't eat. I lost a lot of weight. And at that moment, I was like, yeah, I gotta do something. And I had sat on the idea of doing this for 2 years.
Mm.
And a few of my friends were like, I don't know if people are gonna wanna like listen to you talk about mental health or listen to you talk about your stories. And I was just like, all right, so put it on the shelf. But this like really was just like, all right, now we here.
Something. Yeah, we right now we here. What's up?
You asked what now, and like this is it. So I
Mm-hmm.
remember being on the phone, and I booked a trip to go see my best friend in Georgia. And before I booked the trip, I went on Instagram. I was on Instagram and I looked up Coco Michelle's drawings. Her drawings are beautiful. And I hit her up and was like, hey, I'm starting a podcast. This is what I want my logo to look like. And
Mm-hmm.
I need this. So if you look at my logo, you'll notice that there are similar pictures floating around on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
However, nobody has the feather. The feather is Nugget. I got the tattoo probably 4 days after the miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that is like the signature for my logo is the
Oh,
not only me, like the logo looks like me, but if you notice, like there's a feather on my arm, and that
yeah.
not on any other um, cartoon, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So doing it, I was just like, okay, I got my logo. I went to Georgia, didn't think nothing of it. And I was on the phone with a friend of mine that was a trainer at the time, and some I kept going on Wix, and Wix hit me with the flim flam because I saw it, and it was like, okay, so for 2 years, it was like 264 to do the
Mm-hmm.
website. This was on a Monday. On Wednesday, I went back on the Wix, and Wix was like, all right, it's 50% off, it's 132. And I was like, ugh, all right, so I guess I gotta buy a website. And he was just like, get the website.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got the website and I was just like, okay, so I got a logo and I got a website. Now I really have to,
You were moving forward. It
I
was
really got to
all
do
the things were
it.
there. You just now you needed to
Yeah.
create it, right?
I needed to go for it. And I remember texting you and calling you like, all right, I want to do it, but I'm scared. What if people don't like me? I don't know how to do this. I can't figure this out. Do I need an LLC? Like I was thinking of every excuse possible to not start this podcast because I just knew you were going to tell me I needed an LLC. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not doing this. So
Nope. You don't need that. So just for anybody else who thinks they got to do all that stuff, the answer is no. You just need a mic and a computer.
Right.
Really, you could record on your
phone.
Voice. Yes, you can record on your voice memos on your phone. So I got a couple of those on there. So
and that's how I started. I literally was like, all right, I'm gonna record on my phone. And then after the third episode, I bought a mic and I've just been going ever since. There have been different episodes that people have hit me up and it's like, I needed that. Like there was one where there was a girl who hadn't told her mother that she suffered a miscarriage like a year before. And she was like, I listened to your episode and like now I want to go talk to my mom. Somebody reached out. I did an episode about domestic violence. And so and the thing with that episode is people looked at me very differently after that.
Well, because once you share your story and people know the truth, they either look at you like in disbelief of like, is that true? Did you really go through that? Or like, girl, how did we not know? How like
with you going through that and nobody knew?
Right. Yeah, I know. I was listening to that. I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like I know pieces of this story, but I don't know all of this. But the thing about it is that how often as we are going through this journey, how often are we suffering in silence, right? And that was like 6 years ago. On top of that, right? We're not even talking about like anything recent. You think about that, like when you're in it, you feel like you are by yourself. So as you decided like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, how has self-doubt showed up in your journey?
There are days where I want to quit. Mm-hmm. I'm not even gonna lie. There are days where I want to quit. That episode was a peak episode for me, but then things slowed down as outside came back open. Mm-hmm. And then, still dealing with grief and anger and every other emotion in the book.
Yeah.
There are times where I was just like, I don't know that I want to do this. Mm-hmm. This time last year, I remember making a post and I was sitting on the floor and I was like, let me be transparent. I don't want to talk to y'all today. Mm-hmm. And I just wasn't feeling it. And it wasn't that I couldn't. It was, I didn't know how people were really responding to me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm telling y'all all my business.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
I don't put all my business out there. And I don't know how people are necessarily responding to me. So I wanted to stop. I wanted to take a break. And then I remember when I hit my first 1,000 downloads or listeners. Mm-hmm. And then I checked and I was just like, sis, you were in like 8 different countries. How did you get here?
Yeah,
like,
listen.
Somebody was listening to me in Africa. And I was like, wait, what?
Right.
Send me a ticket, sis. I'm trying to come over there and record with the elephants. Like,
but so the thing about it is that even as you're saying that, like I can see your face, but it's like that the aha moment of like there's this the thought process of like no one listening, nobody's listening, nobody even cares, I'm wasting my time. And then there's this thing that's like, oh no, people actually are listening. And so once you got to that place, like I asked all my guests, like, what are some practical steps that you take when self-doubt shows up? Because self-doubt is forever. And as you continue to level up and as you continue to venture out into new things, self-doubt will continue to try to keep you back. So what are some things that you do to ensure that you bring self-doubt with you? That's what my mentor coach says. She says she bring it with her. So like, come on, girl, we going today.
One, I listen to your podcast. I've been listening.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've been a faithful listener every Sunday, and I have Ingrid listening to it too.
Oh yeah, okay, so, yeah.
To your podcast, but I also, so my therapist, bless her heart, she's so cute because you know me, and I'm very blunt. I cuss all the time, and she is like really holier than thou, and she just giggles, and I'm just like, this is really how I feel. So she has me so when I pray differently than a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I have real conversations with God. When I tell you, I will look up at the ceiling and be like, not today.
Yeah.
We not doing this today. I don't feel like I don't want to do it. I know you think you made me strong. Let me be weak today. Leave me alone. And I have those moments where I'd be like, all right, so now what? We here. What now? What you want me to do?
Right.
Where you want me to go? Point me in the direction you want me to go.
Yeah.
If you let me do it, we staying still. And I know that's not what you want. So I literally have those conversations where I'm like, I'm happy talking to him. And then I have other conversations where I'm fussing.
Yeah.
She gave me this, I guess you could say, prompt. So you've seen Kevin Hart, how he does the little grabbing the air, smashing and all that.
Yes.
He's like, you might have to do that. And there'll be some days where I'll be like, all right, now, what we doing?
Right. This is not what I like. What is good? And I think that is that's a positive thing, right? Because, and it definitely is natural. Like I tell people all the time, even having to explain it to my kids sometimes, like when they say, well, how do you pray when you're talking to God? It's like, I talk to him the same way I talk to y'all. Like, yeah, I don't know how to do it any other way. And the other part about it is that if I try any other way, it feels inauthentic. It feels fake. It feels like I'm forcing it. So I have to be like, Jesus, what are we doing? What is going on? What do you want me to do? Okay, is this you? Like, and because my history has shown me over and over again that when you are authentic with him and you come as you are, because that's how he accepts us, then I can't do no wrong anyway. So I'm not even about to be tripping. So even when you had said earlier, like you was beefing, I've shared on here before. Oh, me and God, I've been on I have given him the silent treatment. You know what I'm saying? And been like, I don't hear nothing you saying. Yeah, right. Like, what? No, not today. Like, I can't. But the reality is that it's the beauty of even knowing that you can even do that, and you can come back the next day and be like, I was just playing. Like, I was just playing. You know how I be tripping or whatever have you. You know, so forgiving and loving. Like that's what makes him so freaking dope. And just like to have a personal relationship with him, you have to be able to have that for yourself, because can't nobody else do that for you. So I love those two things. So what have you learned about yourself during this journey that you didn't know before?
I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Yes.
Like I've never listened to a podcast of mine.
None of yours?
No.
I listen to my joints all the time.
I've never listened to them. Like I always record it and just put it up.
Mm-hmm.
It's very raw, very unedited. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what you get.
Yeah.
But I've started to go back and like listen to a few, and it's like listening to myself talk. It's like, hey, you really went through all of that?
Yeah.
And you still here? Like,
yeah. And you still here and so still moving forward.
So it made me realize, like, we're a lot stronger than you think. Like, a lot of people are afraid to step into their purpose. I, for one, was terrified. I used to tell you all the time, I don't want to do it. I'm scared. Ain't nobody gonna listen. I don't have a mic. I can't do this. The computer broke. My phone ain't working. Like every excuse. But I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be talking to people about life and what it's like to have anxiety, what it's like to have suicidal thoughts, what it's like to be angry, what it's like to deal with colorism. Like any topic you think about, I done talked about it. And I can tell when I done got on somebody's nerves because I pay attention to like how many people listen.
Yeah.
And you can tell like certain episodes, people
ain't nobody trying to hear all that.
People don't like to talk about race. People don't like to talk about colorism. And I'm like, well, you ain't got to listen to it, but I'm gonna talk about it.
But you know what the crazy part about that is, right? Is that there have been, you know, over the course of the 2.5 years I've been doing this, I've done that too. Where there have been times where I've been like, oh Lord, is this topic too much? Is I'm about to go to the left? Am I like, does this make sense? Should I? And I always have to remind myself that the people who are assigned to me are assigned to me. And I can't say that right now, today, as we're recording this, that the people that I think are going to listen are going to listen to it. When we're doing this, these are for future people. I think about all the different podcasts I listen to. I legit, sometimes if it's somebody really good, I'll go back to the beginning of their podcast and
Yeah.
I'll just listen to, I just started listening to somebody and she might start like 2015, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, one thing, this is a side note. I really need to send a customer service thing to Apple. I really do hate that you can't do it in the opposite way. They won't give you the option to go from ascending. Was that which one? Ascending versus descending? Yeah. Like I'd be like, I want to go from 1 to 100. I don't want to go from 100 to 1. Like, let me start at the beginning. Sheesh. But sorry, y'all, that was a side note. But anyway, you just never know who it is, who it's meant for, right? And so I would just I would encourage you. I mean, you're already doing it, but keep sharing it, because there is, even if it's one person who listens to it, who gets something from it, or even if it's for you and for your journey and for your healing and for whatever it is that you need to do, you now have that. It's out here, and that, it's done, and you can wipe your hands of it and just kind of move forward, you know? So we've talked a lot about the different things, but I want you to be able to tell us exactly all the things about Notebooks and Coffee, like how you got the name, what is it really about? Like, you shared a couple of your stories that a couple of topics, but like, let's talk all things Notebooks and Coffee.
Notebooks and Coffee was originally not a podcast name. I sometimes in my spare time do resumes too.
Oh, okay.
It's not a passion, but I've gotten really good at doing resumes, so I will do them from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister Ingrid came up with the name because apparently I was supposed to do resumes like as a thing, like a real thing.
Okay.
That wasn't on my spirit. I didn't want to.
Oh, that wasn't your ministry.
It wasn't at all. I still do it every now and then, but like I got really like you in order to do it. Because it takes time. It takes a lot. So with that, she came up with the name Notebooks and Coffee. And it just stuck with me. Like I didn't want to get rid of it at all. And when I thought about podcasting, I was just like, okay, well, one therapeutic way to release is journaling in a notebook.
That is true.
And a lot of people don't typically get their day started without some sort of tea or some sort of coffee. So on the mug, I think my mug on my logo says, "But first coffee." It's like,
yeah,
this day started. And it's always stuck. I remember when I went to, I guess, do my website, the name Notebooks and like AND coffee was taken, and I remember texting you like the name taken. And you were like, okay, well, pray about it and see what happens. I was like, but I don't want to change the name. Like, so I can't do the podcast now because the name is taken.
I was like, I'm sure there's other ways to say and.
It ended up being Notebooks, the letter N, and coffee. And it just stuck.
Yeah.
And that's my thing. Like, I love it. I love the logo. I love being able to talk to people about things that other people are necessarily afraid to talk about. Like there are episodes where I talked about being sexually assaulted, and I know a lot of women go through that, and believe it or not, a lot of men go through that, and they don't really talk about it. So I share my journey with that. I'm also in the process of creating self-care and mental health journals.
Yes.
I've started the prompts. I met with a publisher and sis was like, you got to have 55 pages. And I was like, only at 23. So
you got a little bit more work to do. We can knock that out. We can knock that out. I hold you accountable. Now you said it out loud. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, all right, 23 pages. I got, okay. 22.
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. So I'm working on that. I'm also trying to get into motivational speaking. I've realized I actually like to talk a lot more than I thought I did doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to like reach different demographics of people. I hosted an event at my house last year, and it was just, I was honestly joking, and then people were serious. And I got, so for me, I'm realizing if I say stuff out loud, I can only say it to certain people, because if certain people I say it to, they be like, all right, so you said you was doing this and this.
Yeah.
That was a
But
joke. That was a
but
joke.
here's the thing, depending on what people need, if you say it and they need it, that's an indication when people are holding you accountable to that, is that they need it, right? Like that
And that's what
they
it was.
need something that whatever it is that you are, even if it's that I did, they probably can imagine what they could get out of it prior to it even happening. And so
And that's
yeah.
exactly what happened. I literally made a post on Facebook one morning at like 7 o'clock. It was like, hey, if I hosted a girls' night where we had food and drinks and talked about mental health, would y'all come? And like literally 50 people responded within like 10 minutes. It was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, hold on. It was, wait.
Right. That was rhetorical, you guys. I didn't
We
really
are
mean.
in a whole panoramic. Oh, y'all can't come to my house.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there's
So
that.
I definitely I was like, okay, so I gotta narrow it down. So I took a group of 10 people, and I invited 10, and out of the 10, 6 showed up.
Okay.
And I had it catered by Eric Young. He is amazing. He's definitely catering my next event. He makes this really bomb seafood pasta or shrimp pasta. Oh my God. I
Now you
need to
got me hungry. Okay.
call him after this, because but I had it catered. I had gotten cardstock paper, the hard paper, and I had my logo printed on them. And I made these cards, and we played a game called pulling cards. So I had the, what is the like little lollipop sticks with yes or no questions. So I would
Yes.
literally ask you questions that would make you think, like, are you truly happy with yourself? And I would randomly pick somebody and be like, why'd you say no? Or why'd you say yes? And no one knew each other. Like we had a couple people that knew each other. So 2 people knew each other, but the rest were kind of like, I
Brand
just,
new. Right. Yeah.
so, I did an icebreaker game, and the icebreaker game was pick a song right now that's out. It could be old, like 70s. It could be today. Pick a song that describes where you are in life right now, and tell me why you picked that song. Um, and that was the icebreaker. And then we did the yes or no games, and then we played pulling cards. The cards is what got people, because my cards, I would ask, I wish I had them here with me. I could show you. But one of the questions was, when was the last time you allowed yourself grace? Um, are you truly happy with yourself? How do you view you as a woman?
And even as you ask that, like I got like goosebumps, because those are questions, one, we don't ask ourselves, and also ones that we don't expect to ask our friends, or even the people closest to us, right? There are a lot of relationships out here that people are having very surface conversations and very surface, like, yeah, girl, we about to, there's a voice that goes with that surfaceness. But it's difficult, that vulnerability of really opening up to be able to share that. And that speaks to your openness, right? Because in order for someone to feel safe enough, they have to feel like they're in a safe space. And so that means that you created that safe space, not only bringing them into like your home, but like who you are as a person and how you came about it. Not like you try and be nosy, like, so girl, like that makes a difference.
We had and I had somebody text me, and she was like, I'm pulling my cards today. Like I let them keep their cards.
Yes.
But I remember that moment is what made me realize, like, I wanted to get into events, because one of the young ladies there, I won't say her name, but she has 3 kids. And one of the kids decided to run away before, probably 2 or 3 nights before the event. And I remember her just feeling like she was defeated. She literally felt like she was a bad mom. And I was like, oh, no, ma'am. It was like, absolutely not. I was like, you have 3 children that you are raising on your own. You work full time. You take care of them babies. They eat because of you. They have clothes on their back because of you. They have somewhere to sleep because of you. Don't you dare sit in here on my floor rubbing Dallas's stomach because my dog just invades every little privacy that I have. But don't you dare sit here and tell me that you are a bad mother because your child is a teenager and feeling himself right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I was like, my mama can tell you I ran away a couple times and I came right back because it wasn't nothing out there for me.
Yeah, yeah. And there's but I'm glad that she was there in that moment, right? So that she could hear that. So that
Mm-hmm.
she could receive that. You know what I'm saying? Like fully. And that is something that we go through stuff. Stuff happens in your life. It's not gonna always be perfect, but you need to be able to have people who can give you that motivation and give you that just like that push and to let you know that you feel seen because I can imagine that in that space she probably had enough people in her ears saying what she should have done or what she could have done. So that was awesome of you for taking that time to like say no. That's not what we going to do. We going to encourage and empower in this moment, and I'm going to tell you what you are doing because a lot of times we forget. Like even earlier when you were saying, I didn't realize how strong I was. We have a tendency to just not celebrate the things when we do good in that moment. Earlier today, I was telling my son that something great happened today and I was just like, yeah, my mentor coach was like, how am I going to celebrate? And he was like, why would you celebrate yourself now? It's not even over. And I was like, yeah, but I first of all, I
Right.
was just like, well, because I did something that I was afraid of doing in the first place. And so I won in that, you know what I'm saying? But the celebration for myself is like, congratulations to you, Felicia, for actually doing it, for doing the work, for putting yourself out there and allowing something to happen. I was like, I needed to celebrate myself. He was like, okay. I was like, you'll get it later on in life. I'm not even about to worry about that right now. you
You'll learn.
you
You'll learn.
listen, you'll figure it out. But that's what we need to do. Like sometimes we forget how far we've come. Sometimes we forget how much of an impact that we've made, even in this journey of like how I said how I know you and knowing that you were a part of this journey. Like you watched me grow into this person. And in my mind, I forget that sometimes. Like I know I wasn't always like this, but I forget like who was I before this and how far did that Felicia get to? You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's just those you need to be reminded sometimes about that.
Definitely.
Yes. So, how can people connect with you? How can they listen to the podcast? If when these journals come out for your next event, how can they stay connected to you?
So I have a Facebook and Instagram. Both are at Notebooks and Coffee. That is Notebooks Notebooks, the letter Coffee. I always spell coffee wrong in my mind, but it comes out right. So at Notebooks and Coffee, the podcast is streaming on all platforms: Apple, Google, Spotify,
Yes, all platforms.
whatever you
Wherever you find them,
prefer.
that's where she at.
And if you log onto the website, if you are not into like listening to podcasts on your phone, you want to pull me up on your computers or whatever, my website is notebooksandcoffee.com, and all the episodes pop up on.
Yes, yes. Well, y'all already know I'm gonna have all of that in the show notes so that y'all can just go ahead and click and go ahead and subscribe and start listening to Tierra. I keep forgetting, aka Simone Rose, but she gonna be your mama name you Tierra. I'm gonna call you Tierra. That's how we are going in this conversation because I can't. Okay. So thank you so much, Tierra, for joining us today. Thank you
Thank
for sharing
you.
your story, sharing your story. Thank you for continuing to just encourage people to just be open and honest about their mental health. And I can guarantee you that what you are doing is making a difference. So I already ain't gonna let you give up. You ain't gonna be
I
able to do it
know.
anyway, fooling with me. So it don't even matter. But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome.
I still consider you my mentor, like even though we don't do the group no more. You will
Okay,
always
well,
be
I
my
will take that. I will be a
mentor.
mentor. You already know if you need me, I am here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.